Alright, hey everybody, we're going to give this a try again. It's the first time I've ever tried streaming from, I believe it's OBS Project. It's actually one of my students, Caleb Williams, showed me about this. So, but what I'm seeing on my screen and what's happening on YouTube is a little bit different. So I'm not sure if there's always a lag or if that's how it normally works. So we're just going to try this out. So first time I've ever gone live and trying to do it actually. The other stuff, I think I tried it at a garage sale earlier this summer with my phone. But so why are we going live? Clearly, a lot of people know I am a teacher and we are not in school today. There were various threats. Well, not various. There were 3 messages that a student sent via Snapchat last night at some point. And earlier in the day, a lot of the teachers, including myself, were talking about how people need to start notifying the proper authorities when they hear stuff like this, when they see stuff online. They need to be able to share it with people. Excellent. Got somebody watching now. I'm not sure who it is, but hey, whoever you are, I'm Burly Teacher, or Mr. Adams if I know you. So why are we talking? Clearly we're not at school because there was a threat, and with what's going on with the shooting down in Florida, and I just want to talk about a couple things. A lot of people know me as a pro Second Amendment guy, as somebody that likes guns, that's grew up with guns, that respects guns, that has a healthy fear of guns, and I guess one of the biggest topics going around right now is should teachers be armed? So I guess last night I was watching the news and sort of found out that I don't remember what time it was, but I remember that the officer at the Parkland school shooting was fired and suspended for failure to act. I was talking with a couple colleagues earlier in the day before that how bad would it be if, because we had heard that there was an officer there but we didn't know what had happened. We knew that obviously he didn't stop the active shooter. So something was right. I called him a coward, said he has to be a coward if he's not going to be there to defend kids, because that's his job, right? His first job is to defend kids, right? Put himself in the line of fire to save those kids. And rightfully so, a lot of people were having conversations, well, what if he did try to do that, and what if in the process of doing that he couldn't get a good shot because kids were in the way? And those are all valid things. But let's sort of get back. Only one person is still watching, so I'm not sure who that is. But so if it is somebody that I know, I guess you can type comments and let me know who you are. Maybe we'll get some more people watching as we're doing this, but probably not because my channel is not super popular. But anyways, a couple thoughts, I guess, when it comes to teachers having guns, right? So I am, and most of my students know that care to listen, I am a conceal, I have my CPL or CCW, whichever you want to call it, in Michigan, and so does my wife. Most of my students know that, and this is the gun that I carry most occasions, right? So there's no mag in, and you can see, if you know what you're looking for, that there's no round in the chamber. So holding this gun, right, I've had these conversations with my students before. What would you think about teachers having guns in the classroom? And I use Montpelier as the example because I believe they're one of the first in the local area to have teachers have guns, and I believe that they're locked somewhere in their classroom and inside of a desk, if I am understanding correctly. Just watched a special last night where there was a teacher in Colorado that actually was they're allowed to conceal carry on their body, and they're just not allowed to have a round in the chamber. They can have the mag in, but they cannot have a round in the chamber. So in having this conversation about having guns, I would be all about protecting, and I would be one of the first to step up and help if ever given the opportunity to carry a gun and do those kinds of things. But I'm not sure personally that teachers having guns in a school is a good thing for various reasons. I'll get into that in a second. I would like to give Washington local schools some props that we've been ahead of the curve for the last 5 or 6 years, because we have had armed guards in our school at all times. Right? We did the secure vestibule thing at the high school. I know a lot of the elementary schools have only one entrance in, one entrance out. So, you know, a lot of things that we do to have safety and protect our students, so that teachers don't have to have these things somewhere in their classroom. So why would it not be a good idea in having a conversation with some friends and colleagues about those things? I want you to think of a couple points. Let's say you are one of the teachers that have a gun, right? Then obviously you have to have some special training. I heard something today about President Trump offering bonuses or something, or special training for people that want to carry the guns as teachers, right? So here's why. This is me. I love guns. I enjoy shooting guns. I have fun with guns. I conceal them sometimes, but not all the time, right? Let's say I am given the awesome responsibility of having a gun and protecting students in my school, right? And I don't think it'll happen at our school because we already have the armed guard, so it's a different scenario for us. But let's just say that I do. And let's say heaven forbid, an active shooter situation happens, right? Let's say I'm trained to run and go towards the fire to sort of figure out what's going on to protect the students. Let's say I do get a clear shot and I miss, right? Let's say I do take a shot and in the process of trying to shoot the assailant, I shoot a student, right? And let's say I do shoot the assailant who might possibly be a student that was either a student at some point in the past or is that's a current student, you know, whatever it may happen. What are going to be the ramifications after, right? I am not a trained police officer or peace officer, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't have the full protection of the law behind me if that happens, right? You know, who's going to have my back after that situation? Is the school going to stand behind the teacher if they do shoot and kill an assailant? I'm not sure how that works. So let's look at some other points here that I think are, you know, important. So we're talking about leaving the classroom, running towards the gunfire while I'm currently in charge of anywhere between 24 to 30 students. Am I just going to leave those students in the classroom while I'm running towards the assailant? I'm not sure that that's a smart idea, right? Who's watching those kids? Let's say there are multiple shooters and it's a coordinated, planned attack, right? And those kids are sitting in the classroom all by themselves and I'm running towards the gunfire. Well, I'm doing one good thing by going and taking care of that, but I'm leaving those kids that I'm responsible for in the back. So what safeguards are going to be in place for teachers that are going to be concealing? It just sort of seems to me like it's a knee-jerk reaction. Now, you know, some of this may seem like a deviation for some of you that know me, and, you know, how I feel about guns. You know, at first, you know, my first reaction was, that would be cool. I would love to have the training, right? I would love to be able to do that and have that responsibility. But then, you know, a couple of the colleagues brought some of these points up. I'm like, wow, that's a really good point. So let's say I shoot and I do kill, right, the active shooter. What happens, right? Am I going to be able to deal with the guilt? What's going to happen when students look at me that next day in the classroom when I have to come in knowing what I did? I'm not sure that that's something that the, you know, people are thinking about in this scenario. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not on board with the NEA. I saw a little interview this morning with the National Education Association president or whoever she was, and she was saying, let's get this straight. The problem is guns. Well, I disagree with that. The problem is not guns, right? There is a solution. Is there a solution, I guess, is the biggest question, right? I think this is a very complex solution. It's a very complex problem. And I don't think the first thing we should be looking into is the idea of arming teachers with guns. Now, I do believe that if schools want to give teachers in their schools the ability to do that, that they should be allowed to do so if they want. Right? But I think there's only one person in that county that should decide whether or not those teachers are capable of carrying a gun. And I think that responsibility should go to the local sheriff or the local law enforcement agency that would put them through a proper training course, preferably in the summer. I would think would make sense, where they're going through an intensive tactical training, not just here's a firearm, right? This is how you load a round into the chamber and then pull the trigger to shoot. No, that's not the kind of training I'm talking about. The kind of training I'm talking about is like an active shooter situation where you're moving, right? Anybody can stand and shoot a gun at a blank target that's not moving and be somewhat successful, right? But to have somebody moving, to stalk, to be moving in a tactical situation is something that I'm not even trained how to do. Right? I would like to learn how to do that, but the opportunity really hasn't presented itself, and I didn't choose to go into the military, be in the infantry, so I didn't learn. So, you know, those are my thoughts when it comes to arming teachers with guns. I think it is a solution if schools want to be able to do that, and if teachers want to do that and have that responsibility, I would just ask them to think about the three things that I said. Okay, let's say you are shooting at the school shooter, and let's say you miss and hit a student. What happens then? So let's say you do go run towards the shooter to defend the shooter, and you're leaving your class empty during that time period. Everybody's locked down. There's going to be nobody coming into your classroom to protect your students. So yeah, think about those things, and think about, you know, I'm not trained to deal with, you know, like combat infantry soldiers are, to deal with the after effects of war, right? Are you guys, right? As much as I love guns, as much as I would love to step up and support my school and support the country in doing that kind of thing, I'm not sure that that's something that we should, you know, that should be our first solution, right? And I know money's a problem, so I would think money would be better spent actually taking the people that are trained professionals to do those things, rather than training people that are professionals in a different area, like teaching, and then giving them sort of a co-responsibility on top of teaching if something were to happen. So let's address one more thing before I'm going to sign out here. Students, right? If you are going to be dumb enough to put stuff online and cause threats and cause schools to close down like Whitmer High School is today, I think the full extent of the law should be thrown at you, and you should be punished as harshly as possible. Right? We shouldn't tolerate, we should have zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions, right, you know, concerns, feel free to leave a message here. You can contact me at my email address, theburlyteacher@gmail.com, and we can go from there. So this has been my first official live broadcast that at some point 3 people watched. Excellent. Still 2 people watching now. I'm not sure how active that is. Only 1. So Burly Teacher signing out. I'd like to show you guys, my wife created a little patch for me, Burly Teacher patch. So I'm proud of that. So thanks, babe. Love you. Bye.